Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris the High Guy Jacobs, and today we're taking a look at the conclusion of Phase 2 in Archipelago Raid. So tune in, get comfortable, light a joint, pour a drink, whatever you need. Let's dive into what happens in the conclusion of Phase 2 for Archipelago Raid for GROP. Now, first and foremost, what you will notice here, we are building straight out. I started building towards, now this is going to lead to a little bit of, this might be a little bit controversial. However, I started building down towards the 8 because I noticed Jade was doing the same. We had already started to build out, but because we had activated our skill to build towers faster, and the other team that started building towers on our side didn't, you'll notice it's going to lead to a little bit of confusion on the towers here, and I take a little bit of blame for that. Watch right here. So as we're placing the next tower, one of the guys and one of the other R4s decides it's a good idea to place a tower there and up top at the same time. So we do end up wasting a tower in the process. One or the other, it doesn't really matter how we end up going there. We ended up keeping it up there just to have the extra space, just in case. But it is one of those funny things. So from there, I start being a little bit more active in placing tower placement notifications so that we have a better idea going forward, so we don't have these mistakes happening again. But it was definitely one of those situations where, you know, we end up burning a tower in the process that we could have used somewhere else. But cement didn't become a real issue for us, as you'll see as we move on.
Still hanging in the balance, not the life I want to live. I want to take it all, standing tall. Fear I weighed the person you are. Oh.
You will notice, however, that there isn't much fighting. Even the places that they have decided to build out, they have just started to build out Crimson on the north side there, but they haven't built towards the middle by any stretch. And I honestly have really only matchmaking to blame for this. They saw Fedo or FEDO from HNB, which I believe, and quote me and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that account was purchased. So it's not actually the original owner of the account from HNB. I don't believe anyways. But because of one player, they kind of got disheartened very quickly, which number one led to a lot of field fighting that we had, not a lot of garrison fighting. But it also kind of took the winds out of the sails when they wanted to build out, because I do give the player credit. He's obviously a strong player at 345 million might. So he's obviously a strong player, 350 or whatever it is, but above 300. But one player like that doesn't necessarily, denote the whole thing. You'll see in some of the exchanges that had they actually pressed their issue, they would have done a lot better. But they all kind of ran as soon as they saw him, and that was kind of where it came from. But I give them a lot of credit. I mean, they did what they could. I do think it's kind of, crappy that they backed off as soon as they saw him, though. But in some of the places that we do engage, it is a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy watching this as much as I do making it. But before we continue any farther, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the channel with your friends. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that join button to help the stream out and help the channel out a little bit better. Unfortunately, IGG doesn't pay anything and YouTube doesn't pay very much. So in order for us to maintain doing what we're doing, making the content that we are, we do ask for some support. So if you can, go ahead and hit that join button and become a member today. Other than that, let's get back in and enjoy the tunes.
My weakness comes and goes. My body aches to be satisfied. My weakness comes and goes. My weakness comes.
So here's the prime example. As soon as we start to see them building out, we respond, we build into them to try to cut them off. And here's a prime example of where I believe if they pressed us a little bit harder, they probably could have had their position. But it doesn't seem like they were actually focusing on fighting us off. They kind of just ran. So you'll see this in the way that these trades go off. I believe wholeheartedly that they would have been able to beat us had they pressed a little bit harder. But they kind of didn't, and it kind of just took the fun out of the rest of the fight after that. But you'll see what I mean here in a second. So you get a prime example there. Their trades are looking a lot better than what we were getting. And that's just one rally. Now, it did so happen that they might not have had the Garrison players on their side. And don't get me wrong, I'm nothing special in a Garrison. I mean, though Garrison is my main, that's been my focus. My Thunder at this point is only 3.7, I think, 3.7 million. But it's a lot of it has to do with my Beast. I've got a level, I think I'll leave at this point, a level 76 or a level 80 Pangolin, who's also like elite Pangolin, who's also level 7 or level 8 promoted. So it has a lot to do right there, 84, I guess, 84 and 8, which has a lot to do on the defense as well. The Beasts are actually pretty influential, especially when you get them to be that big. So one of the only reasons why I'm able to sustain like that, and I think maybe why we were able to respond the way that we did, is because I was there in Garrison. But even then, it wasn't good enough. Like we definitely needed someone better, which is why we ended up switching from my infantry main or my infantry Garrison. We tried to switch up to a chasey, but it ends up coming in a little bit later. And so there was some confusion. But if you watch these trades, I may be winning out in the counter damage, right? I may be winning out or even in the counter damage, but their skill damage is far superior to mine. Because obviously it's just a Thunder Riven, right? So it's just about sustain while we end up destroying the other towers. And that was kind of my entire goal. But if you were to see these trades, if you were to see the reports afterwards, you see how kind of lopsided and one-sided they are. And Fido wasn't here on Garrison. So here's a point of mine. He wasn't playing in the Garrison. He was really only playing in the field position and in some rally positions, right? In some of the attack positions. But it was on us to be defensive. And so although we were, theoretically getting smashed here against both alliances or both rallies, I believe wholeheartedly they would have been able to push through us had they just continued. But they kind of gave up early. They gave up on him because Feta was there. And then it didn't leave much for the rest. But as you can watch, on those trades, we weren't getting them. Now, I make a big mistake here by recalling my march out of the tower after the recall their rallies. So I recall and then make the mistake because we wanted to switch to a rider. And I totally didn't kick anybody or kick the right people, and I couldn't get back in. It was just a huge headache trying to get back in and, get the right people in, get the right garrisons in. It was just a headache. And by the time the rallies went off, it didn't work out. So we had to, suffer under my infantry rally again, which didn't work out well. We ended up losing the trades again. But this is my point. They could have pushed through us, right? They could have pushed through us pretty handedly, I think. Had they pushed just a little bit harder, but they gave up pretty quickly. Either way, let's just sit back and enjoy the rest of these fights, shall we? So you can see me kind of clicking back and around through the game a little bit, kind of trying to look for where the action is, because it seems funny to me that there's almost none on the Crimson side. We ended up locking them in here. I was going to end up putting a couple of towers around them, but we agreed to really only the one. There was some who were really concerned by the amount of cement we were using. I wasn't nearly as concerned because, I mean, we were obviously dominating and hadn't had war in a while. So we all had, you know, cement in reserves. But it's one of those situations where, like, I couldn't see Crimson on the left side. I couldn't see them on the right side near the 8, where, you know, near the gate to the 8 where they're supposed to be. And they weren't really building out into us where you'd expect them to. So it was really what kind of a weird scenario to not find them anywhere. So if you see me kind of clicking around, it's just kind of find out where the action is and kind of just taking a look at locations. There was a little bit of a confusion onto how far we were going to, you know, build these guys in. But even here, as soon as we started to close them off, they started to build out a little bit. And but it wasn't near as much because there wasn't even any shelters around the gates. Right? So I'm sitting here trying to zoom in to find out where these players are. You know, as we're building into them, we're already at the 8. We're going to start building down to the Jade side now, because at the end of the day, we need to be able to help Blue at Jade. They've been fighting this entire time, so any kind of additional support that we can get them is beneficial. But there wasn't much of a response, so it's like no matter where we looked, there really wasn't anything. So, I mean, we had time to do elite scavs during a time when theoretically we should be fighting, you know? And I think a lot of it has to do with matchmaking. A lot of it has to do with people just being disheartened when it comes down to one player. As soon as your matchmaking has one big player, everyone goes, oh crap, the game's over. Well, that's just not the way it is. Like, one big player, you know, sure sucks in the field, but, you know, one 300 mil player, a lot of what makes a 300 mil player isn't necessarily that. A lot of it has to do with troops, right? They just have a lot of troops that they can use. And sure, that makes it a little bit unbalanced in fighting, but it doesn't make it so insurmountable that you can't beat them on the field, or you can't beat their rallies, or you can't beat their garrisons eventually. Yes, it takes a little bit more, and if they're one of those types of players that focus entirely on garrison at 300 million, it's going to be a big pain in the butt for sure. But let's be honest, the matchmaking is not that atrocious. It's bad. Yes, it is. Don't get me wrong. It's just not as bad as it is where one player has the capability of manipulating a whole game, especially Archipelago, when you have so many players. Like, a tier 6 is strong, sure. If you just noticed there, that one guy came in, didn't do anything, and stole some cement. I'm very angry with him, and I think his name was Magic Stick or something like that. Mr. Magic Stick. It was super asinine. Anybody who just stands by cement, sorry to get sidetracked, anybody who stands by for cement, doesn't participate in the zombie and steals the cement, should literally go stub their toe in the worst place possible until they, like, hard enough that they have to lose a nail. That's how much I hate it, okay? I can't stand players like that. Anyways, I don't remember what I was talking about previous to that, so let's get back to the music.
Just let me fall to my groove. Secure. Just let me fall to my groove. Just let me fall to my grave.
This is just me being a little cheeky, jumping around the map looking for some easy points so I get to a close place. I saw the guy was doing zombies. Now I'm going to go in and attack his zombie carriers. But they catch me on the way in, you sons of bitches. and kind of attack me on the process. And I don't get near as many kills for that, but I do get some. So I'm not complaining entirely. Get a little bit of action. Not enough, but as you can see, having a little bit of that AoE damage is really nice and sufficient. Got a couple of hints in, but I didn't want to get rallied, so I got out real quick. It is unfortunate, though, most of the action was happening with our allies. There was lots of garrison, lots of rallies, and lots of warfare, trench line warfare, which is exactly what I like in this game. Wasn't so much of that hitting back and forth stuff, but more of that consistent fighting, which happened a lot more with our allies against Jade than it did with us against Crimson, which is a little unfortunate. Even when they did try to defend a little bit here as we were trying to take their gate, we end up over-swarming their gate pretty easily. We ended up pushing through them pretty easily. And unfortunately, every time they do try to attack us so far that we've seen, it's kind of just a flash in the pan. They kind of give up very easily, so it's a little bit unfortunate. But we'll kick in to see the other entertainment and all the other action on the other side as we continue on. So I hope you guys are enjoying as much as I am. These jams coming to us by copyright-free music on Spotify. So if you've got any problems with them, I'm jamming along. I'm having a good time. If you're not, you can blame them. So.
When the fact they never tell you that when your hair starts to fall out, radiation poisoning, it's a secret within you. They'll never tell you that in the back
I have to admit, it's probably pretty intimidating to see so many troops in the field around your shelter when there's not much you can do about it. Which is kind of, I think, probably one of the reasons why there aren't very many shelters around there. I'm also blaming it maybe on the fact that they're sleeping. That could be the other option. But as you notice, it doesn't really matter to us. We just continue our progress one way or the other. We're going to be building down to the level 6 gate to lock out Jade. And then obviously we've built across to lock out Crimson from hitting the middle on the other side. Now, theoretically, it means that they can't actually even airdrop into the middle. So that totally locks the middle for us, which allows us elite scavengers, allows us the pretty much everything around the 8, the elite scavengers, the pirates, and everything. And it also means that we can kind of farm freely unless our allies decide to hit, which is a totally jackass thing to do, but totally possible. Either way, we start to continue building down into Jade because we know that Azure is still fighting Jade down by their 6. They've been doing this for a while. So if we can now split their focus, that's kind of a main goal. We had some people complaining that maybe we want to go collect and capture the level 7 and the level 6s first. But my opinion was always we needed to make sure that we were continuing the fight. Because we knew that they were being attacked over in their 6, so we wanted to defend them as best we could. But getting there just took some time. So in the process, we're also attacking through Crimson to get there as well.
Know that I go insane. Yeah, I hit you with a bullet to the brain. Let us stop first cause we going insane. know what I'm gonna do. You don't know what is next. And I'm loving the fact, truly it's making me blessed. Cause I work on my team, no snakes in the grass. And we have the trust in the wind because of the work that we did in the past. Because of the work that we did in the past. When we went to hours, we barely got rest. So I get the realm and we didn't finesse. So I got the feelings that we might be next. Cause when we go in, we win in the match.
I swear, I use so many relocators out of nowhere, just jumping from one side of fighting to the other side of fighting and everything else. I probably could have saved so many had I been smarter about that. But man, I just wanted to be everywhere. Like, I just went from the other side to this side, to back to base to farm, back to the helipad to farm, to the other side to this. I use so many relocators. I'm going to be running out soon, I think. Put in the comments down below what your best sources for relocators are, besides spending for them, because I can always buy them. I just don't want to.
Fundiendo core es la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Quien no anda corre es la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Fundiendo core es la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Yeah. Quien no anda corre es la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Whoa, se despega like a rocket. Uy, yeah, she been Meraki. Yeah. Una vez, honey, yeah. Baby, no lo pares. Yeah. Si es la que hay, pues la que hay. Yeah. Y Peter's honor, that's my kind. Whoa, lo quieres pa' mirar el time. Yeah, yeah. Por si algún día ya no hay. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, ey, lo bebes más o hay. Copa Bifitter con limón, no quieres tanquear.
I like to see blue building around here. They noticed that they couldn't beat the one garrison that the guy had left in. So they chose to build around it and start targeting the other ones around it, like targeting the other one, figuring that they couldn't garrison both. So I really do appreciate this strategy to kind of give themselves a different opportunity trying to swing it around. We just tried to go right through. That was our best strategy, just go right through. And it worked pretty well for us, I think. We ended up, so far as you can tell, we didn't really face much resistance, especially in the first day when you didn't expect to see as much. But we didn't. We got through. We captured and held what we wanted to. We were able to disconnect them from their 7. As you'll see, even in the fights that we had, are pretty one-sided. They're pretty fun, though. As you can see, there's lots of back and forth. Some interesting field fights we'll get into as well.
Rugian si lo meto un aguacero. BBM, very big monetero. Quieren dinero, fundiendo cobre en la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Quien no anda corre en la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Ey, fundiendo cobre en la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Quien no anda corre en la que hay, ay, 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 ay. Pretty.
If the sky's breaking down, if the lightning comes to strike, I'll be the projection on the wall that it lies. I can't saw a line, just look into the sky and follow the light. My fate in my own hands, game in my eyes. Give me the thunder, hear the thunder, cozy thunder, right now. Give me the thunder, hear the thunder, cozy thunder, right now. Give me a
See what I mean about relocators? I just used another 2. 1 to go back, 1 to go forward. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Jeez. A little bit of hits. Didn't do what I wanted to, so I brought back with a dut. And then he didn't want to play. Why not? Why didn't he want to play? Very rude. Not demure. Not skibbity or something.
Moving to the sun, running from the sun. Patience decide once you walk through the dawn. Yeah, the thunder, cozy thunder, right now. Give me the thunder, yeah, the thunder, cozy thunder, right now. Give me the
Two souls colliding. We shared the pieces of ourselves. It's perfect timing now. We fueled the flames, but we're still learning to trust, learning to trust. It's never enough, never enough. Burning me up, burning me up. Don't fight the fire. Too much, too fast to burn us out. We walk the wire, love. Don't make me read your mind. I know it. Learning to trust, learning to trust. It's never enough, never enough. Burning me up, burning me up. I won't fall when I'm picking you up. Of my hand, I won't be strong enough.
So as you can see, the progression is just consistent. Even as we build down into Jade, there's not much resistance. They're busy fighting off blue. I think they've also kind of given up at this point as well. Pretty much every single kind of situation that we run into with these, you know, at least in this archipelago, it was kind of one-sided. We weren't really kind of, and you could blame that on us being overly, you know, active and things like that. Like we watched throughout. If you watched Phase 1, you saw how active we were on the field, which really kind of just denotes, in my opinion, really denotes what's going to be. But here's another prime example, where I think if they had just pushed a little bit harder, or even let the rallies hit a little bit longer, they would have been able to crack it, but they didn't. And I'm a little shocked at that. So we'll see how that happens. But you'll see what I mean. I think honestly, if they had pushed just a little bit harder, they would have been able to do a little bit more.
Burning in love. Two souls united. This roaring blaze is soaring free. If you ever get tired, love, I'll sing you gently to sleep. Cause you're still more than enough, more than enough. Feeling the rush, feeling the rush. Burning in love, burning in love. I won't fall when I'm picking you up. Of my hand, I won't be strong enough. Our love is stronger, and I'll be here. My lead, now we're taking the jump. My pride, cause I know you're the one. Our love is stronger. Baby, I know that it's stronger than yesterday.
It's a prime example. I don't even think that they had to cancel the rallies when they did. I think if they had just left it a little bit longer, they would have, because their trades were doing way better than what we were been able to defend with. But then as soon as one big player steps up, the rest of them just kind of deflate. And they blame it on Fido. They blame it on the quote-unquote player for name HMB, but I don't honestly think it was them. I think they just got disheartened because of how active we were. Because on every single action, as soon as they responded, we like instantly, there was a response to every single push that they made. Whether they pushed it to one side, we responded. They pushed to the other, we responded. We were still able to build through. So I think a lot of it still has to do with the fact that we were very dominant at the field. Not necessarily just because of one player. Yes, it helps to have one player, but it wasn't the be-all and end-all. I honestly think they would have been able to do so much better had they just pushed themselves a little bit harder. But that's just my own opinion. And if you don't already know, one of the best things you can do is hop back and farm. Farming is important. So that's going to clear up day 1. When most of the fighting is going to happen, by the time I woke up, we had already captured the next target, which is great. But again, there really was no pushback. Crimson didn't push back into us. Blue was able to build up to the 8 a lot more. We still hadn't built down to the 7, which I thought was kind of crazy. I figured we would have taken that already. So, of course, that was one thing I addressed as soon as I got woke. There was still some fighting, but most of the fighting had been moved because we had bursted through the other gate. We were able to connect to both Crimson and Jade and be able to fight them off there. So a lot of the end of what we have here for the next day is a lot of field fighting, a little bit of tower fighting just for dominance, but nothing more for, which is unfortunate. There's not really much more for the actual main target. So we do end up taking this Archipelago main phase 2 rewards, which is kind of ideally what you want. And I give everybody a ton of credit, but the rest of the videos, what you'll experience is a lot of just field fighting and things from that. So as long as you enjoy that, let's sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of them, eh? And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for this video for Archipelago. As you can see, it really was one-sided for us. It didn't really give us much chance to fight, but I did still manage to hit over 120 million points, scoring out my ratio. That being said, love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time, stay lifted.